Okay, so this originally was going to be a top 5 albums, but I thought I could save that for maybe a later video, because I'm not exactly sure what my top 5 would be, so I thought I'd just take you through 10 of my favourites. This is going to be quite quick. I'm not going to spend too long talking about each one, in case you don't really know it and it might be boring for you. So I'll kind of just go through them all quite quickly. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the way this is going to work is I'm going to go through 10 of my favourite albums in chronological order, so the year they were released basically, up until 2013 of my 10 favourite albums. First one, and this album is pretty much as good as it gets. I mean, I said I couldn't really pick a top 5, I could probably pick a top 1 and it would probably be this. It's Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. Came out in 2000 and was the best-selling album of 2001, which for me is a real surprise when I found that out, because it's heavy. It's kind of a mixture of hard rock, metal, a little bit of electronic elements and rap, and the kind of music now isn't really like that. The kind of pop music you get nowadays isn't like metal, rock, or some rap, yes, but certainly not combined all those elements. And it's a really amazing album. So many amazing tracks. I mean, the best tracks for me, they're all great, but the best tracks for me are With You, Points of Authority, In the End, Place for My Head. They're the 4 I love most, but there's so many good ones. Like, it's kind of scary how many great tracks are on this album, and the production value, it doesn't feel like this album's 13 years old. It really is timeless, and it's just an incredible album. And you've probably heard of it, it's very well known. Like I say, best-selling album 2001, and it's amazing. Okay, so next we have Saturate, which is the debut album, another debut album by Breaking Benjamin. This was 2002. If I get any of my facts wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure it was 2002. Again, very consistent. I love consistent albums. Best tracks for me are probably Medicate, Natural Life's very good, Home's great, it's a song about the Wizard of Oz. I know, kind of mental, but it's an awesome song. And the last track, Forever, is one of my all-time favourites. Beautifully crafted song, really nice. Genre, it's kind of hard rock, alternative metal, elements of grunge and stuff like that. It's a really nice album, really consistent, and really good debut album. Okay, so next we have Meteora by Linkin Park again, and this is 2003, and it was really good, 3 years after the release of Hybrid Theory. But this second album was up there with their first album. It really is hard to decide which album is better. Very similar in style again, it's the whole rock, metal, hard rock and rap combined, and it's really well done. A little bit of techno elements as well. Favourite tracks for me are probably Lying From You, Numb obviously is a classic, probably the most well-known song. Faint's very good. There's a lot of great tracks. Breaking the Habit, very good song. So you've probably heard of this album as well, very famous like Hybrid Theory, and it really is great if you ever listen to it. Okay, next, another Breaking Benjamin album, and this is 2004, We Are Not Alone. Take a look at the album cover a bit. It was quite different from the first album, it sounded more mature, but it was the same kind of style, you should definitely recognise that. Lots of great tracks. The first track, So Cold, is very good. Tracks 3 and 4 are great, Follow and Firefly, Forget It and Rain were great. Forget It and Rain were kind of softer tracks, which was a big progression from the first album, which kind of only had sort of 1 soft track. This had 2, and they were really well crafted, really nice acoustics and stuff, and it was different. Like I say, loads of great tracks, and it really is, again, a very consistent album, which is why I love Breaking Benjamin so much. And this was 2004. I might have already said that, but yeah, anyway. And guess what? It's another Breaking Benjamin album. I really do like this band, by the way. This was 2006, and this is called Phobia, and this is probably deemed their best album, but for me, it's really hard to decide what their best album is. That's the album cover if you want to know. It's kind of like an angel without a head with wings. The first 2 tracks, I say, are just godly. Like, I paid about £8 for this album. It's worth the £8 just for those 2 tracks. The first 2 tracks are so incredible, it blows you away how good they are. The rest of the album is still very good though, lots of standout tracks. Diary of Jane is great, Breath is great, Until the End, Dance with the Devil, Had Enough, loads of great tracks, amazing album again. This album, like I say, most people think is their best work, but it's so hard to decide, all their albums are great. Okay, so next we're moving into 2009 and we have Brand New Eyes by Paramore. This is kind of the softest on kind of this, not top 10, but listed 10 albums that I have. It's not like heavy like some of the others, it's kind of rock, but kind of alternative rock, kind of towards the lighter side of alternative rock. And Paramore are one of my favourite bands. I'm actually going to see them in September, which is going to be awesome. Standout tracks for me, Decode is probably my favourite, in fact it is, it's my favourite song by Paramore, I absolutely love it. But there's lots of other great tracks as well, like Ignorance, Turn It Off, The Only Exception, All I Wanted, loads of great tracks, and I really do like Brand New Eyes. I love the style, it's got such a nice feel to it, and it really is awesome to listen to. And you can see the progression from the last album, Bright, as well. It's a kind of different sound, but it's still definitely Paramore, and it's really nice to see that progression. And next, it's the final Breaking Benjamin album, and it's Dear Agony. This is their last album that they've hopefully not ever done, but it's been 4 years since they released a studio album. Hopefully something's going to come out fairly soon. That's the artwork, if you want to know. This is probably their most professional sounding album, loads of great tracks again. Probably nothing as good as the first 2 tracks on Phobia, but it's still very consistent and very great throughout. Great tracks like What Lies Beneath, I Will Not Bow is a very popular song. The last track, Without You, I absolutely love that track, really nice track, and yeah, great album just like their other 3. And basically, if you're into Breaking Benjamin, there's no reason why you shouldn't buy all their albums, because they're all quite similar and they're all very consistent and all got great songs. So yeah, there you go. Okay, next we have an album that I'm guessing you've never heard of. Sorry to judge, but you probably haven't. And it's completely different to the rest of the music here, and it's called Interloper by a band called Carbon Based Lifeforms. The genre is ambient music. It's kind of relaxing, really relaxing music. And this album is incredible, particularly the last half of the album. I mean, the artwork, I adore the artwork. I just think it's great. And the artwork's really cool, inside as well. It's really cool artwork. So I think this album, the last half of this album, is the best last half of an album I've ever listened to in my entire life. That's not to say the first half of the album is bad, it's not. It's just not quite as good. It's still very good. But the last half of this album is mind-blowing. It's so beautifully crafted and well done. If I did a top 5, like I said at the start, I'd find it really difficult, but if I did do a top 5, I'm not sure where this album would go, but it would definitely be in it. It is really amazing, and like I say, the last half is it's mind-blowing how good the last half of the album is. Standout tracks for me are Supersede, Europhotic, Frog, M, and I can never pronounce this song, but I have to look at the back, but it's one of my all-time favourite songs of my entire life. It's Polly Ride to My. I'll have a little spelling thing so you can see, hopefully one of you can tell me how to pronounce it, but it's definitely Polly Ride to My. It's very hard to pronounce, but it's such a good song, and M is also one of the highlights for the album. So yeah, an amazing album that you've probably never heard of, but if you're into ambient music and relaxing stuff, you should definitely check it out. It's so beautifully crafted, it's kind of hard to explain. Anyway, that album was 2010, just if you're wondering. Now, next we have The Flood by Of Mice and Men, and I think this was 2011. Sorry if I got my facts wrong. Something in the back of my head was telling me it's 2010, and then I was thinking, wait, was it 2011? So sorry if I get that wrong. I think it's 2011. But there you go, that's what it is. Again, loads of great tracks. We're kind of tails off a little bit towards the end. The last track's amazing, but the 2 that come before the last track are a bit kind of iffy. But the rest of the album is amazing. So many great tracks. OG Loco, Bend Through, Let Live. I'm basically just going down the set list now, but there you go. Set list, track list. Anyway, My Understandings is an amazing track. Loads of great songs on this album. Product of Murder, really good. It's metal, it's kind of screamo with clean vocals. It's been done before, but it's really well done and it's really nice. Loads of unique riffs, much better than their first album. I have their first album and I was disappointed with that, to be honest. I got The Flood first, then I got the next, then I got their first album, and the first album really is not as good as The Flood. But there you go. But The Flood is amazing, and Of Mice and Men really show how talented they are, but I'm kind of concerned for their future because their clean vocalist has left, and for me he was the best thing about the band, so not sure what they're going to do in the future, but hopefully they'll still produce good music. Anyway, on to the last album now. I've always liked Bring With Horizon for quite a few years, but this year their new album came out, Sempiternal, and it got really amazing reviews, and I wasn't quite sure if I was going to buy it or not, but then I read the reviews, I bought it, and the reviews were not overstating it. It's incredible how good this album is. It really is amazing. Sempiternal has got to be one of the best albums I have ever listened to. It is so good. I mean, there's so many great tracks. It's hard to believe that it's Bring Me the Horizon sometimes, because I have their second album, Suicide Season, which is good, but it's kind of a bit hectic, a bit random. Sometimes you can't really tell what's going on. A third album I was going to get, but I never got around to it, and that's supposed to be better than the second album, but this album is, most people say, is the best, and it really is. It's such a good album. If you look at the reviews on iTunes, you can see how what good it is, and it's just so amazing. Loads of great tracks: Can You Feel My Heart, Empire, Let Them Sing, Go to Hell for Heaven's Sake, And the Snake Start to Sing, Hospital for Souls, and the 2 singles, Sleepwalking, Shadow Moses, are very, very good. A really amazing album, and a big surprise for me. I didn't think it was going to be this good. So, Sempiternal, Bring Me the Horizon, a great surprise for me and an amazing album, and probably will be the best album of 2013, unless the 1975's new album, which comes out on September the 2nd, will be better, but I'll have to wait for that. Anyway, that's all. Sorry if this was longer than I anticipated. I wasn't too long talking about each album, but there was a lot of albums to get through there. Hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully you watched this and thought, oh yeah, I have that album, I love that album as well. Sorry for including quite a lot of Breaking Benjamin. 4 out of the 10 albums were Breaking Benjamin, but I do love them. And yeah, cheers for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and bye.